So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find then the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Italic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end as per the Yeshayahu, the 61st chapter. The chapter where then the great prophet did mention regarding the restoration of the holy cities laid waste for many centuries. The cities of the Messiah go therefore around the world and form holy cities, and teach them what you have learned. He was first explaining then the rescuing of his people, the set apart first, because they would be delegated with responsibilities, functions, and then later they would come up with holy cities of their own, as per then what he said, do and observe what Moses told them to do and observe. So then would establish the relationship with set apart and the world lost, meaning then the people of the world would understand the plan of salvation. So then let's understand what goes on in the world so we can be absolutely specific of what goes on. When you read Revelation or Galah, you read then a section of it, parts in 8th chapter, you find then Yohanan. He did receive those understandings from the Messiah himself. He said he saw then the first beast that emerged from the earth. The beast was in Europe. It is then obviously the system of religion. And then during the time of the 1,000 years of deceit, what do we find? We find then Europe involved with religion outside of tabernacling. You find in United Kingdom obviously the first beast related with religion. This is the first beast then in Europe. Then you find the second beast. The second beast is then America. That's the second beast. How do we find the second beast? Because it was found in a place where it was far away. First beast was then found where there was then a relation with the sea. The sea is related with the people. A great number of people, Europe, and regions, understanding then a formation of a kingdom related with a new world order because of the lack of tabernacling. Then Yohanan had the understanding of then the second beast that had then the first lineage of the first beast, but it was a second beast that was then on the land, came from the land, came from the United States. This is the second beast that had then reference of the first beast. As we understand then, the papacy had then General Berthier from France that slaughtered the Pope over there, and so on and so forth. So then we understand the United States as the false prophet, teaching a Messiah outside of the Holy of Holies, unheard of. But those are areas of the past. Those are areas discarded. If we are smart and we understand the scripture as for what it is, we find 1,000 years of the Messiah, 1,000 years of deceit, 1,000 years of deceit gone. First beast gone. Second beast gone. We are back on the agenda of the Creator. We have to get ourselves busy, revitalize our industry, and understand there is the autumn feast in the near future. Whatsoever we learn from the 1,000 years of deceit was discarded. Form of government, form of relationship, form of religion, the whole situation is then discarded. We have to get our objectives finished up and stop screwing around. We have an economy of 16.5 T's, trillions, with a debt only of Medicare, more than 40 trillions. It is absolutely dangerous. We are not even counting the other agencies. We are not even counting the paychecks of the politicians, with an economy a third of what only Medicare then is requiring for. Why are they screwing around for so long for? Why didn't they privatize a long time ago? Why are they not having instant taxation system? Our government is not unkind, but truly is incompetent. With these desperate discrepancy of numbers, where our income as a nation is a third what only Medicare requires. You have to be joking. What about the other agencies? Secret Services, FAA, FDA, and the rest of it. Imagine if you put these numbers on a piece of paper comparing with what we earn. And the government is playing around, go with the flow. What kind of a flow? Either they understand the gravity of the numbers or they don't. If they don't, then they are retarded. They have to get out of there and then get the instant taxation system in place. Making the minimum purchasing item of 10 cents, where then they can charge a tax of 1 cent for every item purchase of 10. Nationwide, so then each mayor, they have the responsibilities to get their cities 100% registered with the government. Then the states have the cities, or the governors have the responsibilities of their cities, making sure each city they have registration. And then each governor before the nation. And having those numbers coming regularly. So then it can be counterbalanced. We are in a desperate situation where the nation is not earning, barely earning. And then it's interesting, the government coming around, screwing around and talking with each other and trying to make a deal among who is interested in this. Both of them are incompetent, either Republican or Democrats. Both of them are junk. We have to get taxation taken care of. Don't they understand numbers? What is the Ozarks Festival coming up? How is the UPS and the freighters are going to deal with the country then? Then the second step is generation more electricity. Then coal. Make sure to get more coal power plants. And then double filter it and then plug in the main grid. Make sure you have enough electricity. Then trucking. Trucking is going to be enormous in the near future. You've got Congo and Amazon. Those places are going to be fixed up with nice roads, has to have trucks. Those places, trains are not popular. They are not going to be used. Trucks. Trucks are the moment's motion of trade. And most of the trucks these days, they are very compacted and heavily electronic used. And you can't have these junky, complicated trucks in the midst of the forest where there are no services. Has to be simple. Such as Peterbilt of the 50s, or the Max of old. Simple mechanics. And if there is an electronic involved with it, should be modular. You remove the entire module, place another module, the problem is fixed. People don't have time to play around with heavy-duty trucks, extremely complicated and compact in the midst of the forest, where there are snakes that eat children. But then a person has to explain step by step to this stupid government of ours, and they don't understand. Our government is not unkind, but it surely is incompetent. So So then we understand what's coming in the future, preparing ourselves for the autumn feast. As we understand then, China this morning has a problem with their solar company because they are having trouble, because there is another company making competition. They didn't even mention the other company. Because the Australia money then went up after 28 years. You know, people are already aware of these Asian market playing. You know, they're kind of playing around and lining up for the future. China is already having the restructuring of their government, preparing themselves for the launching of the system. And our government in U.S.A. is screwing around. In such a desperate low numbers, screwing around. You visit American online, it's only junk. The segment of politicians, it's only junk. There is not a new plan regarding taxation and industry. Our nation is not recuperating and never will. Do the numbers. What is our income? 16.5. Only Medicare. Only the health system requires more than 40. You know, if you don't understand mathematics and what it takes to get from not only Medicare but the entire federal system, number-wise versus what we are earning, if you don't understand numbers, you are truly stupid. We can't make with 16.5 economy and then only Medicare more than 40. And then they are not preparing our country for the instant taxation system after being bought our own mortgages in the hands of the Chinese, and then Bank of China, Citigroup, those are groups of people. Then HSBC involved with, don't you understand there is a system coming in the future and we have no income? But then the government, they be screwing around. Going out, nice meals and lovely night, you know, drinking. And we understand the situation is very dire, but we must make it straight. The objective is first, instant taxation system. Second, more energy, coal. The third, revitalizing our trucking industry, because it's going to be big. And the second Panama Canal is going to be then active next year. The projections were then super tankers. You understand what a super tanker is, don't you? Meaning crude. Huge ships with crude. Plus other ships. 4%, 5% increase per ship going through the canal. The Chinese have their hands on it. If we don't market the South Americans, then we are truly done as a nation. The government has proven incompetent. Not unkind, but incompetent. We have to make a deal with the Trans-Amazon East and West, being part of the construction of the road, and North and South, linking up the countries of the North, because there is a lot of mining over there. Amazon is rich in mining, and those are going to be explored, likely or not. Then Congo, doesn't have to say, coltan. You have no computer without a coltan. And some ridiculous people don't even know what a coltan is. More precious than gold. So it doesn't take much for a person to understand East and West from Congo, Atlantic and Pacific. Straight roads. It's going to require trucks. Simple trucks. There are no service stations over there. A nice Peterbilt of the 50s with a dual tank and plus another 2 tanks in the back of the unit, long haul, simple mechanics to haul then coltan and then the minerals. But how can you speak normal with the government is absolutely incompetent? Our income is 16.5. Only Medicare is more than 40. What does it take for the people to understand? You have to then have the other agencies plus the expenses of the government against 16.5. And then politicians lying around, how the economy is improving. Ridiculous. It's simply ridiculous. But we know our objectives. We know what to do, but then, are they going to do? Or are they going to be sticking themselves in the Ozarks there like reptiles? The government's not unkind, but it's certainly very incompetent. They don't understand numbers. And they try to make it up, going around as big shots where we are earning only 16.5 T's. We are spending only Medicare more than 40. What about the other agencies? Try to combine the others and then verify what number of T's is required versus 16.5.